The crowd outside Buckingham Palace gasped in horror. The unshakable royal guard, known for his unwavering discipline, had just collapsed. As his tall bearskin hat tumbled to the ground, revealing his panicked face, he clutched a crumpled letter in his hand. What he had just discovered deep within the palace walls was enough to shake the very foundations of history. And the worst part? The Queen herself had known about it all along. For years, Edward Hayes had prided himself on being the perfect royal guard, unmoving, unflinching, a silent protector of the monarchy. But beneath the stoic exterior was a man struggling with his past. As an orphan, he had always wondered about his lineage, a shadowy void in his life that no record could fill. The royal guard had become his family, his purpose, his identity. One evening, after his shift, Edward noticed something unusual in the grand hallway near the Queen's private quarters, a small crack in the marble wall. It was nothing remarkable, yet something about it tugged at him. That night, when the palace was silent, he returned and pressed against the crack. To his astonishment, the wall shifted slightly, revealing a narrow passageway. With a racing heart, Edward stepped inside. Inside, he found an ancient wooden chest covered in royal insignia. With trembling hands, he opened it, revealing a collection of aged letters, faded portraits, and a single golden locket. He picked up one of the letters, his eyes scanning the words. And then, the breath was knocked from his chest. The letter was addressed to his mother. It was written by King George VI. With shaking hands, he read more. The words revealed a hidden affair, a secret relationship between the king and a young woman of humble origins. A woman who had vanished under mysterious circumstances shortly after giving birth to a son. Edward's hands clenched the letter as realization dawned upon him. He was of royal blood. Shock turned to disbelief. Disbelief turned to rage. His entire life had been a lie. He had lived in the shadow of the palace, sworn to protect the very family that had erased his mother's existence. His blood boiled with anger, but beneath it all, a deep sorrow settled in. He spent the next few days unraveling more secrets. The Queen had known. She had quietly ensured he was cared for, but had never acknowledged the truth. His loyalty, his discipline, had all been built on a foundation of deception. Yet, as the days passed, something shifted within him. He wasn't just a royal guard. He wasn't just a forgotten secret. He was proof that the past could never be fully buried. And he had a choice, either let the truth destroy him or use it to shape a new destiny. One fateful morning, Edward stood before the Queen in her private chambers. He handed her the locket, the same one his mother had once worn. "I know," he said softly. The Queen looked at him, her regal mask slipping just slightly. There was no denial in her eyes, only an unspoken understanding. "What will you do?" she asked. Edward inhaled deeply. "Nothing, because I am more than a secret. I am more than a name. I am a protector, not just of the royal family, but of the people." Tears welled in her aged eyes, but she said nothing. Instead, she simply nodded. And in that moment, Edward knew he had reclaimed his power, not as a forgotten heir, but as a man who had forged his own path. Edward returned to his duty, standing tall outside the palace gates. The world would never know his truth, but he had no need for a throne or a title. He had discovered something far greater, his purpose. And as he stood there, the wind whispered through the grand courtyard, carrying the echoes of a past long buried. But now it was no longer a burden. It was his strength. Little did he know, a lone figure watched from the palace window, a woman with the same piercing blue eyes as his. The Queen's great-granddaughter. The truth, after all, had a way of finding its way home.